Welcome to Variant Edition, your source of comic book news and culture. It's Tuesday, June 24th, and we're back. Yeah, it's been a few weeks, but enough about that. We're back. Okay, Variant Edition Tuesdays are your quick dose of comic book knowledge to prepare you to step into your comic book shop on Wednesday. This week is a huge release week for comics. There's a lot of cool stuff coming, so here's what you can expect to find in shops this week. After a rundown, I'll be back with our pick of the week. Like I said, it's a huge week, so what possibly could we pick as the one book that we can't wait to read this week? No Hero Number 0. It's Warren Ellis, so what can we say? After the bombastic Black Summer, we're glad to see that Ellis is back with a series that, while it may feature superpowered humans doing vigilante justice, it won't resemble anything else on the shelves. He's joined by Black Summer artist Juan Jose Reap, and while the series doesn't start out with the assassination of the president, No Hero looks to equally shake up our preconceived notions of superheroes and what makes them tick.
Hi, I'm Nick, and here are your headlines for Tuesday, June 24th, 2008. The big news last week was at DC, more specifically, the comings and goings of various DC employees. First up, Chuck Dixon posted to his forum that he was no longer working for DC Comics in any capacity. This, of course, led to quite a bit of online speculation. He followed up a few days later with postings stating that he did not quit, not to blame his editors, and that the problems with DC come from the top down, pointing the finger squarely at DC's Dan DiDio. As for Dixon's output, his run on Robin ends with 174, Batman and the Outsiders is done with 10, and his Booster Gold story is still on the schedule. Seemingly unrelated, Rich Johnston reported that John Nee, Senior Vice President of Business Development, had tendered his resignation. Nee came to DC with Wildstorm and had risen to the Senior VP position. While not a very public position, Nee was responsible for a vast amount of licensing for DC. Of course, this caused speculation to run rampant on the internet. According to most, Nee was the first to go, and soon the whole house of cards would come crumbling down. And who was at the top of that house of cards? Executive editor Dan DiDio. Of course, his comments at last weekend's Heroes Con didn't help. He dodged any comment on his possible future, and at a panel commented, quote, "We have the same characters. There's only so much you can do with them. You've seen it all. You've heard it all." Unquote. Wow, that's a lot of enthusiasm. Adding to the fun, Jimmy Palmiotti, who most internet commenters thought would be best suited to replace DiDio, seemed to be having a little fun himself. At the DC Nation panel, when asked by Dan DiDio if he would like his job, Palmiotti gave a quick, no comment, which translated online to mean he had already accepted the job. Of course, give anything a few days and the roaches crawl back into the dark. DiDio isn't going anywhere, and in fact his contract has been renewed. Palmiotti told Newsarama he was joking around, and no one bothered to register the giggles that took place while he answered DiDio's question. And further, it's not a job he wants. So what does this mean for comic fans? Well, that's probably a loaded question. The DC haters will see this as continued proof that DC is circling the bowl and DiDio's to blame. Bloggers got lots of hits and will probably continue to get them. The rest of us will just shrug. So any real news? The Incredible Hulk opened big at the box office with a #1 weekend at $55.4 million, and to date an international total of $159 million, putting it a little behind Ang Lee's Hulk movie, which opened with $62 million in 2003. Spider-Man 4 has a date. but not much of anything else. Sony has marked the calendar for 2011, but currently has no script, director, or stars. While Mark Miller's Kick-Ass has stars, script, and director, but nothing that has been announced yet. Perhaps they're waiting for San Diego for the big press. And the Thomas James Jonah Hex pick is real, but no ink has been signed on any deals. Looks like they're trying to drum up some interest. Oh, and Tokyopop announced a huge downsizing, split themselves into a few divisions, canceled con appearances, cut its annual output dramatically, and are reverting the publishing rights back to OEL creators. But isn't it more fun to rumor monger about DC Comics and talk about superhero movies? Well, we'll see if there's any real news to report next week, but up next is some first looks at comics set to ship this week.
Alright, so here we are. It's been a while, but we got our
Yes.
first looks, our sneak peeks.
Sneak peeks at books that you should grab or totally just burn in your comic book store and get arrested for burning stuff that you
Don't
haven't
do
bought.
that.
No.
Not advised. So I started by reading X-Men First Class number the Law, and it was
that 13?
interesting.
Number 13?
It may have been.
Okay.
Is that what I'm... Yeah,
Yeah, I
sure.
heard 13,
Why
yeah.
not? 13. Lucky 13. Woo!
Yeah.
Had a robot in it named Aaron. He's evil, I think. In the next issue, he'll be evil. There's an evil robot, I'll tell you, that is destroying some
Kind of like
military
Ultron
complex.
evil or just like, kid evil?
Like, misunderstood evil, I think, right now.
Okay.
Well, the whole, I'm superior than you, but, well, I'm not just a machine, I'm alive.
Okay, one of those,
Short
okay.
circuit evil.
Okay.
Yeah, Johnny Five.
Number
being
2,
evil.
number 5? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I forget.
But yeah, so it was interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
No, robots.
How's the art on that book? It's very
Old
very
school.
loose.
It's old school.
Yeah.
And I kind of enjoy it because it's old school. It reminds me of my younger years. Like 20 years ago when I was, and it was a good
12 you
comic.
said? You just said 12, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I hate you. What did you read?
I read
old man?
Thunderbolts 120 and 21. If you are not reading Thunderbolts along with Captain America, like I said before, again, I'm not encouraging suicide. Just cause some physical bodily harm to yourself. Because Warren Ellis, there you go.
Not advised. Not
Yeah,
advised.
Warren Ellis is the fucking man, okay? Warren Ellis, I want you on this show. I want to talk to you, okay? Mr. Sophisticated.
Because that's the way to get the interview.
The greatest return ever, not of a hero, but of one of the nastiest, most maniacal villains ever. The Green Goblin is back in full effect, whether you like it or not. Beautiful artwork done by Mike Deodato, okay? Handled that perfectly. The dialogue alone in issue 120 and 121 of the Green Goblin, talking to himself about how he should kill people and just take care of business because that's what he always does, and considering himself the president in a couple years, brilliant, okay? Thunderbolts, huge fallout.
Haven't you said all that before?
Yeah, but I'm emphasizing it. Huge fallout
No,
at
I mean
Thunderbolts
about
Mountain.
yourself. Never mind.
Oh, yeah. Huge fallout at Thunderbolts Mountain. The people they had, entrapped in these cells there have turned the team inside out, mind control. They all fought each other. Venom got stabbed. The swordsman turned into a huge little girl at the end of the fight, which is kind of surprising. And when it came to the end of the day, it was all business to Norman Osborn, and things were kind of back to a state of normalcy / weirdo psychotic normalcy.
Wouldn't Venom getting stabbed have no effect? Wouldn't he just be like, oh, symbiote fix?
Yeah, symbiote fixes it, but the poor guy Matt Gargan inside him, he's going nuts because he doesn't understand what's happening. But wonderful book. We're gonna miss you on this book, Warren Ellis. Please come back to the Thunderbolts.
But speaking of Venom, Ultimate Spider-Man number 123, believe it or not, has little to do with Spider-Man. It has a lot to do with Eddie Brock, who's sitting in a park telling his life story to anybody who will sit down and listen to him, including an elderly woman, an elderly African-American woman, and then an old man, and then a young man, and then a pair of hot teenage girls.
This is kind of like the Forrest Gump approach, where he's like
Kind of.
talking to
It's
that
just
old
sitting
lady.
on the
bench, waiting for the bus?
going like, symbiotes are like a box of chocolates. Sometimes you get an evil one, and I want to eat people all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, I hate when that happens.
I like shrimp. It's kind of like what he was doing, but he was kind of saying like, oh, months ago you wouldn't have believed it, but I was just in college, and now I'm not in college, now I have nowhere to live, and I just kind of hang out. These aren't even my clothes, found them on the street. Peter Parker, he's Spider-Man. Parker. So he literally does that inside the book, which is kind of comical, and especially at the end where he's telling this younger guy about just the other day at the museum, I fought Spider-Man, and the guy's like, wait, you were that big monster that fought at the thing? And he's just like, anyway, like I was saying, my life's been really tough. So basically, the entire time he's been talking, he's been eating these people, absorbing their
Wow.
energy. First an old lady, and then an elderly African-American lady, and then a hot pair of college co-eds, who I call teenagers before college co-eds I'm going with this time.
I like that,
And
yeah.
then, like, just a dude.
It sounds like a very brilliantly written issue.
It was done really smart, because it was like,
Bendis.
it's Ultimate Spider-Man, but it's going to be about Venom for a change, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like that.
It's filling gaps for Venom.
A quick flashback. It's kind of like that Daredevil issue where it was like a town meeting at a local church, and this one guy went on and on about Matt, how he's a ninja, and he was just telling his whole backstory to these people who were just listening and talking about Daredevil in their lives. And then he outs him in front of everybody. He's like, "Ain't that right, Matt?" And Matt is sitting right across the room in front of everybody. And it's just like, holy shit. How do you write an issue like that?
Not as big in public. This is more of like in a park, just talking to whoever's going to be sitting there. And it literally starts out the conversation going like, "Hello, nice day, isn't it? I'll tell you a little bit about myself. See, I'm this big monster." And like that's all he did the entire comic, but he didn't see all the arms until later.
Yeah.
Well, you already saw one arm. Arm.
So it was like toned down horror.
Kinda.
For later
It was
on.
kind of creepy. Like I would like to see that in a movie.
I would too.
It'd be better than the Hulk. More on that later, perhaps. All right, that's it for this week's Variant Edition Tuesday.
We could tell you to tune in later this week for a full-length episode, but we're not going to.
We know we've not been the most timely lately with our releases, and we want you to know that it's all Kevin's fault.
Yeah, he's right. Sorry.
Yeah, well, at least he owns up to it.
He's working on it. I hear the therapy is working deliciously.
Terrible use of the word. But anyway, so here's the deal. We want to have more episodes out this week, but we're not going to promise them to you.
Until we get our schedules worked out to something that we can tell time with, we'll just tell you to keep watching for new episodes.
Yep, and then you'd be all happy and surprised when the new episodes are out. You'd be like, oh man, I haven't seen one of these in for a while.
Yeah, reverse psychology. See? We're shifty now.
That's right. Moving on, in case this is the first Variant Edition you've ever watched, and would like to see more after that little bit of passive-aggressive non-apologies, check out variantedition.com for all the ways you can watch us.
We have links to all the ways you can watch or download us, including iTunes, YouTube, VO, our high-res feed from Blip TV, or the broadcast quality BitTorrent-powered version from Views.
It's
a lot to say.
It's a pretty good quality. It's worth all those words.
Yes.
It's worth all the words.
A lot of adjectives.
Yeah, and as usual, Classic Comics in Rowan, New Jersey is still your friendly neighborhood comic shop.
Coincidentally, where we shot this episode, and just about every episode of Variant Edition.
Yeah, it's also where Kevin works and where we buy our comics.
Yeah. Want to know how you can save up to 20% on your comics like we do? Check out classiccomics.com for more information about the shop.
All right, that's it for the week. We've got a Hulk discussion to shoot. Early word?
I can think of a few adjectives. Good, awesome, incredible do not come to mind.
Burn. See you next week. Doing another adjective.
Nice.
That was more of a verb.
I thought at the end of the last
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought you were going to do the thumbs up and be like, yeah, screw you.
So, we got the close for the